Hey everybody, this is Jonah Lupton, your host of Startup Sense, coming to you today with a great episode. I have an awesome guy on the phone with me. It is Ted Chan, the founder of CareDash. Ted, how are you?
Great, Jonah. It's good to be with you. Good to
Thank you,
catch
man.
up.
So me and Ted have actually known each other for a bunch of years. We're both from the Boston area, and just kind of stayed in touch for the last 5 or 6 years. I've been working on things. He's been working on things. So he emailed me and said he's working on something pretty cool. And after I checked it out, I would definitely agree. So I'm excited to talk about that today. First, Ted, just give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, Jonah, I think when we met, I had just graduated from the Sloan School of Business, and I was working on a couple small companies, which turned into pretty nice things in the online education space. So I started two sites, practicequiz.com and dynamicpath.com, that are two of the really world leaders in free online test prep. 2-3 million people a year study on them. So having sort of made a splash in the education space, the next thing I wanted to work on was health. So I got hooked up with an incubator here in Cambridge, Mass, called Kogo Labs, and with them we incubated CareDash, which is what I've been working on for the past couple of years. CareDash is really it's a new healthcare provider site, 100% devoted to bringing transparency to consumers. So, a lot of the existing review sites, whether it's sort of horizontal sites like Yelp, or healthcare specific ones like Health Grades or Vitals, take money or have relationships with their providers or businesses where they can scrub negative reviews. We, under no circumstances, accept financial compensation in exchange for the removal of negative feedback. So really, we see ourselves as a representative of the consumer, and we're fighting for transparency in the healthcare space for them.
Now, when did you get hooked up with Kogo Labs? Or I guess the better question is, how did you get hooked up with them? And then why don't you just explain to the guests or the listeners what an incubator really is?
Yeah. So actually, through my education sites, Kogo was interested in a business development relationship at one point. And so I met a couple of the senior folks over there. Kogo is an interesting model. It's really the brainchild of our lead investor, Link Ventures, and Dave Blunden, who's the senior partner there. But Kogo makes huge R&D investments to develop horizontal technologies in the data and analytics space, as well as developing data sets. So it's almost like if you could do programmatic media buying, Kogo almost has like an internal programmatic media department that helps you understand users, helps you get massive intelligence about what's going on the web, how people are behaving, different trends, and out of that come really ideas. And then Kogo builds small executive teams to look at those ideas, and a lot of them die. We were one of the lucky ones to come out of it. We came out, really birthed as a company with a great team, with some experience, with a little bit of revenue, and really well suited to address this problem, right? But really, we spent a lot of time working on exactly what the concept was going to be and how it fit into the market, and whether it was a real whether it was a real business or not. And and that all sort of took place within the incubator, and then after that phase, you go and get your own office space, right? Get some some funding to go and grow it, and scale it, and hire more people, and that's kind of how that works.
Now, where did I mean? I guess two-part question. Well, I guess I'll ask this: where did the funding come? Or actually, no. Let's go back to what factors and data points did they look at, or did you look at to determine if this market for CareDash was worth pursuing?
Yeah. So, and I can't speak to our predecessors, but CareDash has a number of sister companies that are quite a bit more mature, including companies EverQuote, JobCase, and which are now late stage companies. Probably 100 million valuation plus, as well as
those are other portfolio companies.
Those are
ventures,
other portfolio
right?
companies. Yeah, and because Kogo acts as an incubator, the R&D and the knowledge flows through. So they know we started this company in the auto insurance space, right? We know there's an opportunity, to buy these keywords, to buy these, to look at this user set and bid on these specific users who we know generate high intent in the, say, auto insurance space, which EverQuote does, right? So we take that and we say, well, okay, what's the equivalent of that in the healthcare space, right? Is it, we know somebody is high intent for a dentist or high intent for laser eye surgery, and we pick, you can attract those users before before they find other services or other ways to get those things done.
Essentially, Link Ventures has mastered that process of digital marketing and customer acquisition, and now they're able to deploy it across all these portfolio companies, right?
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work to tailor it to the vertical, to build a good user experience across it. But yeah, that's really the genius of this incubator, right?
So now let's talk about the funding. I know you raised some capital from them. Have you guys raised any capital from anyone besides Link Ventures?
No, interestingly enough, what we learned at Kogo Labs allowed us to become cash flow positive fairly quickly. So we were burning a little bit when we left the incubator. We probably were about 10 then. And we might have been burning 50K a month or so.
Okay.
And then our model basically projected that we would get to cash flow positive. So we actually the board allowed us to hire into that. So we got to about 16, 17 people within a year and a half. This is probably late last year or something. And at that point we were just burning a little bit, and within the last 6 to 9 months we've actually been making money.
Awesome.
So I think it's going to be one of the.
That's impressive. We're an early. I mean, you guys consider yourself what? Health tech, consumer web.
I think the vision of the company is consumer web. There's things that we do that right now that are really almost like an agency. The idea is to bridge what you're doing as on behalf of partners into things that occur on your site. So where we're buying traffic now, or we have subscribers to some of our newsletters and we're sending them out, right? We'd prefer those transactions that eventually occur on our site, but since we haven't built a good enough user experience around it and integrated it well enough, it's just going to take a lot of time. I think that's fairly common for lead generation type companies.
So what has been the most successful customer acquisition channel for you guys?
For us, it's everything is integrated, right? So, it's you start with programmatic data. So you're getting a signal from somewhere, right? This is a person who's interested in laser eye surgery, right? Or
Okay.
starting the very early stages of considering it, right? And you can find that any number of ways through any number of data exchanges, right? And the best signals are the ones that are the most out of the box, right? Because if they're obvious, other people are going to find them and bid on them, and you're not going to make a wide margin on it.
Meaning like the traditional, like Google AdWords, or paying.
Yeah. So let's say
expensive.
Yeah, or they were on a site, lasereyesurgery.com, and they sell that data, and it's in all the DMPs, right? It's in MediaMath and whatever, all the X+1 and all the ad exchanges, right? So they've already told you, they're telling the whole world that you should bid on this user, right?
Okay.
So once you actually find that data point, right? There's a lot of work that needs to be done to especially if it's an obscure data point, right? To be able to bid on that, to show your partner's ad to, or your own to everybody in the world, right? Or across many channels, right? So you might have picked up a mobile browser ID, right? But can you tie the mobile browser ID to an email address? And then having the email address unlocks that person's identity on a number of other sources, right? So we really started out doing that, and we have that business line. And then CareDash is really, so the user, you interact with the user, right? Let's help them build a great healthcare experience around what we know, since we're compiling all this data. So, in a sense, it's a separate but related business line.
And now so the customers that you're going after are people like myself. So for instance, I'm currently dealing with a blood clot. I have my primary care physician. I have a vascular specialist at the local hospital that I go see once a month. By using your platform, would I be getting reviews on those doctors and then updated if other people post reviews, or kind of how does that work from what's my experience with it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, it's right now we're working through the chicken or the egg issue in the review space, right? It's hard to get people and users until you have reviews,
right?
Because that's the information people are looking for. And I think by a lot of metrics, we're one of the fastest growing review companies ever. The site really just launched in June, and we have over 25,000 healthcare provider reviews. But there's a million healthcare providers, right? Or if you do doctors, dentists, and eye doctors. So but really what we're going for, our long-term vision, right, is we want to be the place where you can find the most transparent feedback on the doctor, where you can find meaningful data and analytics to you. So we have data sources, right? We could tell you, right now it's not on the site yet, but we're going to roll out a product where we can tell you, this doctor has performed the most of this surgery, right? We'll have other data points like this doctor takes a lot of money from pharmaceutical companies. So, when they're pushing something on you, just be aware that they've accepted money, right?
So the consumer can figure out which doctors have more conflicts of interest, perhaps.
Exactly, right.
Have their best interest at heart.
Yeah, and we've actually been able to find, we've had people say, this doctor kept pushing this on you, right? And then you go and actually look, and right, they've taken, they attended these people's, this pharma company's conference in Hawaii, and you can trace that data is in open payments.